When I was a little girl, home was the farm. It was a place that I felt safe, a place that I had so much joy and laughter and memories. Like, I literally think I had the best childhood. For the first 7 years of my life, I was an only child, and my best friends were my mum and dad. During that time, they showed me hard work and living every day to the fullest outside, constantly being active. I just felt like I had such a unique childhood. And then when my sisters came into the picture, man, my dream came true of having a sibling and being able to grow up and do things with them. And family means so much to me, more than anything in the world. And to have such a strong, loving, supportive family has just been a huge pillar to who I am today and what I've done. When I grew up, all I seen was mum and dad working, dusk to dawn. My dad would be out on the tractor before I even woke up, like rain, hail or shine, looking after the farm. And then my mum, like, she's just a woman of many talents, but she's always been that person there to instill in us that you get your hands dirty, you know, you actually apply yourself. And if you don't apply yourself and you take shortcuts, then you're not going to get anywhere. And I think I definitely credit my mum and dad for who I am and instilling such great morals into me when it comes to working hard and pursuing something that you're passionate about. And I think that definitely transfers over into my career and how I do things, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I definitely owe it to mum and dad for instilling such incredible values into me. When I was 12, we had to say goodbye to the farm, which I had always considered my home. We moved away up north to a small town called Weipa. Like, the day we actually had to move and relocate, that at the time was like the most devastating and heartbreaking thing. Not only did I have to say goodbye to my friends from primary school, but I had to leave my home that I grew up on, and that's where I was born and raised. But if it weren't for this massive life change, moving so far away from home, I would have never met Shane.
So we first met actually at a triathlon. If you know a bit about Tia, she gets locked in an event, so she didn't really see me. So the story goes is that I saw her first. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go, bang, mass start, everyone goes. And people started coming out of the pool, and then maybe 2 or 3 people deep, boom, here comes Tia. And I'm like, holy crap, who's this? It's the first lady to exit out of the pool. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? How amazing. I remember thinking, oh wow, I wanna catch up to her. So I remember putting my bike down, and my legs were bloody heavy, heavier than I wanted them to feel. And then I'm going off my run, and then I'm thinking to myself, every 200 meters gone, okay, stay composed, stay strong, because she could be coming around the corner any second. And then I just remember thinking, halfway in, I'm going, I just need a second to kick some stones here. I'm just going too hard, and I'm just trying to hold a pace that's obviously blowing me up. And then I just do it for a second or two, and then I hear this, come on, keep it going, you're almost there. And I remember just shooting my shoulders up, and sure enough, it's Tia. Tia gave me some words of encouragement, and I'm like, dang it, that was my second to be the composed one or be the athlete in the moment. So that's where it all started, many, 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 many years ago.
When I think of Shane, all he ever wants to do is help. He's always been so selfless. And I think he recognizes how lucky we really are to be able to get what we have on a daily basis at our convenience, when he knows he's got family over in the Philippines that are less than, that really do struggle to survive. And I think his appreciation for what he has, it just wants him to help people in any way that he possibly can. And he gets a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction out of that. And so it's one of those things that I think like his dream job, not necessarily was to coach CrossFit athletes. We didn't even know about CrossFit at the time, but to be able to do something that he loves on a daily basis is his dream. And that was a huge motivator for me embarking on this journey. Just the thought of, hey, potentially Shane could leave his job as a fitter and turner and be a coach full time, that's worth fighting for.
We eventually moved to Gladstone, and at that point, Tia was in a funky spot. She didn't know what she wanted to do in terms of career. She didn't know essentially who she was, because we found ourselves moving a little bit at that time. Picking up and moving a lot created a lot of confusion in what we were trying to do or what we were trying to become. And I remember CrossFit was such a small piece at the time, but it did allow for some form of normality or to create an environment that was new to her, which she could absorb and become at the same time. So I just remember the time where Tia was really trying to find herself and what that meant.
When I found CrossFit, I felt very lost as a person. And I even remember we're driving into the town and I was crying, saying like, this is a shithole. But like super dramatic and not even giving it a chance at the time. But at that point in my life, I thought I had a direction and I had nothing. And Shane's like, hey, why don't you get back into your running? And you should come to one of these CrossFit classes. It might be good for your fitness just while you're getting back into it. So it might speed it up a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Like I definitely need to find myself again, and I need to, get back into training and doing what I love. And I went to one of the classes and I was like, wow, like this is so different, like nothing that I'd ever done before. But I didn't like the coach at the time. And then I also couldn't justify spending, X amount of dollars every month when I could just go and run outside for free. And it wasn't until I had like 3 awkward interactions with the owner of the gym asking when I would be coming back. And I was like, man, I just got to get him off my back, because if I run into him for a 4th time at the supermarket, like I've run out of excuses at this point. So I signed up for a month thinking I'm going to sign up for a month and then he'll leave me alone. And I was hooked by the end of it, to the point where I would go in the morning and the afternoon just to get my money's worth. And one of the coaches actually pulled me aside and was like, hey, I think you're training too much. Like, we don't want you to injure yourself. And I was just like, mate, I'm paying a membership here. I can train however many times I want, it's unlimited. And so that's where I started CrossFit. And it's wild to look back how I enjoyed the CrossFit side of things, but I was prepared to never go back. And had I done that, I don't know where I would be today.
Long time. We go way back before she was a superstar. So we're going back when she was doing local team comps, when she first got introduced to regional level competition. So probably 12, 13, it's been a minute, yeah. Early days was interesting because I was actually at the games broadcasting when she got on the podium for the first time and she shocked everybody. So it was interesting to see, I think, what was possible for her in the early days, and then she jumps onto the world stage and then just shocked everybody, and then everyone just went, wow, okay, this could be our new superstar. And then lo and behold, 8 titles later, here we are.
So 2014 was my rookie year at the Games, and I worked with a coach back then, Drew Griffith was his name. And we were in LA and I was getting ready for my first games, and Drew sort of said he's just started working with this young girl, and he asked if she could join me for one of the days that I was doing prep for the games. And I was like, okay, yeah, who's this chick? So her name's Tia. I was like, okay. And he goes, I reckon she could be pretty good. I was like, oh yeah, sweet, bring her in. I'll show her the ropes. She came in and she was this sweet little girl. Her and Shane, actually, they both came in and they were super duper, just lovely humans. And I think, I just made my games for the first time. I was kind of asking them some questions, And yeah, I just remember them being super duper sweet and being like, oh, you know, just keep at it. And, you know, one day you could be pretty good at this CrossFit thing. And then next year she came second. It's like, fuck. So I just remember that being the first time I met her. So, and then yeah, her rookie year was the year after. It was my second year at the games, and just crushed everyone, came out of nowhere.
2014 was a year where I was finding myself. I was trying to figure out what I was doing with my life. I had potentially an opportunity to chase after a dream that I had in 3rd grade. Imagine if I went after a wild childhood dream of going to the Olympics and, you know, turning that into a reality. During that time, I managed to do really well in CrossFit as well, making regionals for the very first time. And then not long after, qualifying for the CrossFit Games in 2015. And this is February, March of 2015 that I started training for the CrossFit Games. And I made it my mission, all I was there was to focus on myself, to not get caught up in, you know, this person, that person, just going there to give it my absolute best. And I remember saying, I was like, I just don't want to come last, you know? Like, I don't know what to expect. And I did really well on the very first event. I think I was 4th. And I was like, heck yeah. But hold on now, because, you know, you've come out hot, just not sure what's going on, but I'm just like holding on for dear life through the whole weekend. And I managed to come second, which was a complete shock, but put a whole lot of pressure on me to go back and compete and try and come second or better the next year. And so I had to back it up. I had no choice. But that was 2 weeks before the Olympics, and 6 months after the 2015 CrossFit Games, I'd qualified and secured the only spot for Australia to go to the Rio Olympics. You know, all of that happened within 3 years. It was such a pivotal point in my career that I didn't even realize until now. I look back and realize, wow, like I just had enough confidence to actually put myself out there and say, let's see what happens. Walking off the floor in 2016 made me realize just how much I was standing in my way. And I see it today. I see athletes on a daily basis scared to succeed. And it's not just athletes, it's people in general. People are so scared to put themselves out there and so scared to actually not just believe in themselves, but actually go and do what they want to do. They're scared in case they're going to fail because they don't want to be known as a failure. And when I came second for the second time, it was the most devastating feeling I've ever experienced. I gave that trophy away in 2016, and I walked away really disappointed that year as the second fittest woman on earth.
Next year.
We sort of caught up after the 2015 games underneath the StubHub Centre, and she was cloud 9. Like, you finished second at the games, you've done extremely well. You fast forward 12 months, she comes second again, and you wouldn't have seen a more disappointed person in the world. She was so down on herself and beat herself up because she didn't win, and she knows how close it was. I think after 2016, it was like, righto, I'm getting to work and we're going to win and win dominantly. I know Rich Froning said it back way in the day, he hates losing more than he likes winning. And I think Tia is exactly the same mindset. She doesn't go out there to compete. It's not a participation award, a certificate. She's going out there, she's not just going to win, she's going to dominate her opposition, and she's going to leave no doubt.
One of the biggest leaps in our whole journey was the actual move to America. It certainly wasn't easy. It was almost like an 18-month process in the plan. We would prolong it or push it off as long as we could because of the financial burden that it would put on us. And the reality was picking up your life, home or safety, and then moving it to the other side of the world is actually very bloody daunting.
Leaving the familiar feeling of just even Australia. Yeah, you're going from one English-speaking country to another, but it's different. I was excited, but I also was like so scared, because what if we were gonna get over here and it was all for nothing? You know, we make this huge move, we, you know, pack up our house, and it was so sad, because everything that as we knew it was coming to an end. And so I remember we actually packed up in Gladstone, you know, said goodbye to all of our friends, said goodbye to a life that we were loving so much. And I remember we actually drove up to Cairns to drop our dogs off. And, you know, like when you're a young couple and you have dogs, like they're your kids. And I remember we were boarding the flight to America, and we had nowhere to go. We didn't have a home. We didn't have a car. Like, we literally were going over there with like the backpacks on our back and the money in our pocket. And so that is so crazy to think, because that alone, just thinking of that, is so scary. But, you know, we had to be open-minded to whatever came our way. And, you know, we really had no choice. Like, our backs were against the wall and we really needed to make this happen.
I've traveled a lot, and I've lived in Iceland. I spent a long period of time in New York, spent a long period of time in London, and I've done really long extended trips overseas almost every year for the last 12, 13 years. And it's funny because I think home is not necessarily a place, it's a feeling. And I think it's a feeling that's best summed up as connection. Connection to other people, connection to a particular place, connection to something that you're doing because it's aligned with your purpose. And when that feeling of connectedness is where I feel the most at home.
Prior to Willow, I was a savage. And I always felt that I needed to be so focused and dialed in everything that I did as an athlete, in training, in competition, that I trained vulnerability out of my whole system. Like, almost like so cold. And I'm not apologetic for that. I love it. Like, that is one of the reasons why I've become so dominant in the sport, is because I've accepted nothing. Like, 1 championship, 2 championships, like it's, I don't care, like I want more. And through that, in order to become dominant, I felt like I needed to be this cold-hearted killer, you know? It was one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna accept nothing. Like, if something came my way and it wasn't gonna contribute to my training or goal of standing on top of the podium, it didn't matter to me. And I didn't feel bad for it. But it wasn't until I held my daughter in my hands that I realized, like, winning isn't that important. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a winner for life now. Like, I've got this beautiful little girl and such an incredible family, like, nothing else matters. My dream and goal now is to see Willow happy, living her best life. But I think along that way, in order to do that and to set her up for success, is to show her what my parents showed me. And so my motivation and how it's transformed from being this cold, determined, just savage competitor to someone that's, I guess, like a bag of emotions now. And someone that's like, there's no greater motivation than trying to set a high example for your children. And honestly, it's probably even more powerful than what I was feeling prior to being a mother. But now, like, I want her growing up and being like, wow, like, Mum took a chance on herself and she failed multiple times. She actually fails every single day, but she gets back up, dusts off the dirt, and fucking just keeps grinding. And that's what I'm gonna do.
For 10 years, we've witnessed some of the best athletes across the Oceanic region. This year, we get the chance to do it all again. Hello and welcome to the Torian Pro, live from Pat Rafter Arena. And let's get the elephant out of the room right now. It is Tia's last competition in Australia. What comes next, we just do not know.
There's something unique about the Torian Pro just in general, like the passion and the energy and the raw desire from every individual athlete. Like, not only are they proud to be there representing their gym or, you know, trying to make something of themselves or ignite, you know, that fire to start a career that's like they couldn't have fathomed. Torian is where dreams come true and is a platform for people to actually witness just raw talent and true CrossFit community. And with that, the Torian Pro and the organisers behind that, they really put everything into making an event, not just from a spectator point of view. They really try and capture and bundle everything, every aspect of the event to showcase just how incredible Australian athletes are and the Australian community in CrossFit is.
So what did you just do?
I just got Tia to sign my arm. I've got a tattoo book tomorrow morning, and I'm going to get it inked for real. It's going to be there forever.
I guess with going into Torian, Jono had actually called me and said, we need someone to do the final interview with Tia. Like, after she's finished everything and the whole comp's done, because this was going to be the last Torian she does. And I said, who do you want to do it? And like, we had throw up a few options, and Jono just said, no, you're going to do it. I said, but I'm broadcasting. Because I don't care. I'll just stop the broadcast and you can come down and interview her. And I don't think I've been as nervous to interview anyone in my life or just speak publicly in my life than trying to get something out of Tia for her final event. Then I think she was just there to soak up the atmosphere as much as possible. We saw that with Mr. with the dancing brigade on the Saturday night and her being a part of that. And I think that was a big thing for her, way out of her comfort zone. Like, I don't think dancing's been on her bingo card ever, but her going to that place and being comfortable doing that and then going, you know what, I'm gonna sort of tick this one off, close the book and then move on. But it was just a really special one because I'd prepped my questions for Tia and I was still writing up until like 5 minutes before what I was going to talk to her about. And then talking to Tia and I was shaking like a leaf. And then she started tearing up and then I started. So I stupidly looked up in the crowd and there's thousands of people there looking at me. But like, the emotion of that moment was just ridiculous because we knew it was going to be it. Like, with the games, is it it? Is she going back for 9? Is she going back for 10? We don't know, but we know that the Torian chapter's now closed, so we knew that was going to be a really special occasion.
I definitely didn't think I would actually go to the CrossFit Games. I genuinely thought like this was it, and you know, this is the last time I'm actually going to take the floor as an individual and compete and bring it full circle. Compete in front of a home crowd where it all began. And I also felt like I was just so celebrated by not only the spectators and fans, but the athletes as well. And it was really, really cool to experience. And I was like, this is it. You know, I've got my family up in the crowd. My little girl is watching me. You know, Shane was right there. And yeah, I literally crossed that finish line thinking like, thank you, you know, like I could never have asked for a better send-off or experience, and this is just the cherry on top or the bow to tie the knot. But when we're standing out there for the medal ceremony and, they're announcing the people that have qualified for the CrossFit Games and everything, I'm standing next to Ricky, Jay and Maddie, and all three of them looked at me like an intervention and was like, all right, you're gonna come do some games training with us? And I was like, guys, don't look at me like that. And I look at these athletes and I just think like these guys have done incredible, and they've worked so hard to be where they are today. But I feel that they've had a disservice in a way. And not only are they athletes, but they're my friends. And Shane and I have worked really hard to figure out how to stand on top of the podium. Like, why not help them? And I want to see them achieve their goals. Because they've taken a chance on Proven, and they've taken a chance on my husband as a coach. And I'm his wife. It might come across biased, but I genuinely think he's the best coach in the world. But I know that Shane can get them to where they want to go. And I just thought, I have to show them the way. You can always tell someone how to do it, what to do, this is what I've done. But when you see firsthand what it takes to win, that changes everything. And I felt like this year was so important to set up the Proven team for success. And whatever that success looks like, it looks different for everyone. But when you're on Team Proven, you're not forgotten about, and you are highly encouraged to believe in yourself, take a chance on yourself, and to leave no doubt. And for me to not help and showcase what it truly takes to be your best, I might as well not be a part of Proven. And so that's what really changed my mind. We're actually just over a week from the games, and I'm really happy actually with how the body's feeling. This year was a little bit different. We really only kicked off games training about 4 weeks ago. So, really have had to dive deep into the volume. But, with that, there's pros and cons to both, right? Maybe I haven't had as long of a preparation for the games, but it also has allowed me to go harder almost and just feel really good in the body. Whereas previous seasons, I've been doing so much prior that the body's just, hanging on by a thread maybe. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with how everything's tracking. I compare myself to last year, and I'm actually feeling a lot stronger than what I was this time last year. I'm actually in a lot less pain. I remember last year we were dealing with a lot of just achy legs, achy muscles, nerves were just really tight and just uncomfortable every time I would squat or do certain movements. So my strength numbers have actually improved, and then I feel like I'm the fittest and strongest I've ever been.
How are we feeling about this game for 2025? I feel like I get asked this every year, and I feel like I'm a cyborg sometimes. Yeah, very good. Everything's going really well. Even on the back of my mind, I know Tia's got this injury, or we've got this niggle, or prep is actually going really well, and you're just trying to play it down so you don't oversell your cards. But to be completely honest, this one has been the most unique in a fair few years. And that's even won the clock back from the COVID games. That's even won it back to Tia's first games. This one, we've had the shortest runway to prep for the CrossFit Games. I think she accepted an invite 6 weeks out, and that's because of HYROX Worlds. There was a strong moment there where Tia was going to retire at the Torian Pro earlier in the year, but because of her illness at Worlds, she didn't get to show out or perform at all. And fortunately, Dave Castro extended her invite until after Worlds to say, hey, if you want to do this, you let us know by this day on the Monday. On that Monday, she called up Dave with 6 weeks to go and said, hey, I'll be at the CrossFit Games in 2025. So that runway from then to now has been the shortest we've ever trained for the CrossFit Games. So for me as the coach, that's one, it's actually quite exciting. It's a bit of a thrill because it's everything the textbook says you can't do. And the second component, it's also Tia. So it's exciting for me to go, well, let's see what we can rewrite. And I just remember saying to Tia, there's a few things that are glaring to me that we need to work on yesterday. We need to work on them yesterday. And that's her strength, that's her power output on shorter time domains, and heck, it's the volume that CrossFit requires at the CrossFit Games. So there's some pretty big key areas that are the separator in who stands on the podium and who doesn't. And it's been going pretty good so far.
I actually don't really know what I want to feel because I've been searching for this certain feeling for years now, and I think I'll know the day I want to retire. But it's just not that simple. Every year I'm getting better. And if I'm getting better, why not keep going? But you never want to look back and have any regrets, because that's where I found myself in 2016. And I definitely don't want to be feeling that. And I guarantee you it won't be my last year if that's the case. But, my expectation going into this weekend is definitely to win and stand on top of that podium. But it's to execute to the best of my ability, and I just know the best of what I can put out will get me there as long as I stay focused and engaged and I execute the way I need to for every workout.
It's always been in Tia's, let's call it DNA, and her DNA to look after others. And more than ever this year, Tia's demonstrated that. It's been awesome because we had so many athletes come from many parts of the world. And we had a young girl called Lucy, and she's from Ireland, and she's just a teenager. She just turned 18, and she's been living with us for the last 6 weeks. And to see Tia connect and just share with Lucy all the nuance of the details of her lessons throughout her process. I know as a young competitor, it would be so thrilling or a dream, so to speak, to have someone who's achieved it all in CrossFit to share it with someone who's going to take the floor for the first time. And there are moments where you sort of just look back. I'm sure Lucy will look back and go, wow, I had Tia teach me the way of what it takes or what the expectations are for that. What Tia does isn't for everybody, but her story is for everybody, and I think that's important to recognize.
You actually couldn't learn from a better person, in the sport at all. I'm just honestly so grateful that she has taken me under her wing, and I feel like I'm getting all the inside fists and just wee tips and tricks. But I think most of all, even just watching her and everything, she does. Like, they were getting at me today because I basically just copy, like literally copy what she does. But it's like, it is little things like that. I literally just try and learn from it all because I might as well. I feel like it's wasted if I do. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this whole experience has just been like something like I couldn't have dreamed of, like probably even a year ago. I mean, like, she's done it the best, male, female, anyone. Like, she's definitely been the most dominant. I mean, I think her name's gonna go down in history.
I'd really love to see my proven athletes walk away with their heads held high and really proud of their efforts and their placing. And, you know, the efforts and the work that we've put in together, you know, like we've sweated together, we've been in pain together, like you're in it together, and it's a lot more enjoyable and a lot more, you can dig a little bit deeper knowing that there's people right next to you. But to be able to walk away on the weekend and everyone just feels so proud of their efforts, like that would be just such a great way to finish the year. And you know, it's almost like I watch Shane as our coach, and he invests a lot of time and energy into everyone because he wants to. But I want to see him at the end of the weekend feeling really proud of not just his athletes, but his coaches and their athletes, and, you know, proven as a whole. And I think if he feels like everyone is walking away really happy with how they performed, that's going to make him feel like he has accomplished everything that we set out to achieve. And, you know, I have no control over that. All I can control is my experience and my execution.
It is almost 5:30 in the morning, and I'm heading to the airport for my 10th CrossFit Games. I never, ever thought I would be going to compete at the CrossFit Games for 10 years. Like, when I think back, like early on, as like a rookie back in 2015, like I just thought that was insane. And I genuinely thought, oh, this is like a 12-month hobby thing. So it's pretty wild to think like, wow, like I've been doing this for so long. I'm one of the most experienced athletes on the floor now. One of the oldest. And all because Shane reckons, hey, you should come and try this CrossFit thing. I think you'd enjoy it.
Number 10.
I know, it's crazy. Did you hear me joking with that young girl? She's like, oh, it's okay. I know what my measurement is from some other competition. I was like, yeah, but we do it differently here at the CrossFit Games. Yeah, speaking of 10 years.
I don't know if you know when.
I'm old, but very experienced.
New York, where we will be crowning the fittest on Earth.
First day, like I just want to keep a level head. You know, I don't want to think too much about, oh, this is the end, because if you're worrying about other things and how you're feeling, like that's going to cloud your judgment in executing your workouts. And at the end of the day, like the job is to stand on top of the podium at the end of the weekend. And I can't allow myself to feel or think about anything else but my execution on that day. When you're in a workout on the competition floor and you feel this flow state, you feel like you're flying, and that flow feeling is what you actually are trying to achieve in every workout. It doesn't always come, but that's the feeling that I'm chasing every single time I take the floor. And that won't happen if I'm thinking about like the last workout, or this could be my last. And so I think what's really crazy is like I probably won't be able to take it in until I finish the very last workout on the very last day, and I've finished and I've crossed that finish line.
You know, it would be nice to go unbroken on the pegboard, but depending on how slippery they are.
It looks like Tia is having some trouble here with the pegboards. This might just be the one thing that her competitors need to get out in front. She is not going to like that one bit.
I think because now, with all my experience, I can keep more of a level head, but I don't like sharing my leader's jersey. So, you know, when that gets taken off me, you know, that's the worst thing that could ever happen, because now, rather than, you know, staying calm, collected, and just like focusing on what I've got to do, I've now got a target that I'm hunting down. And I would say I'm a lot more scarier going up against when I'm hunting someone. It's just one of those things where I just naturally am gonna go after that person. It was after that workout that like I made sure, okay, like there's no more fucking around here. Like I want that jersey back, and I want to make sure you understand like that's my jersey. Over the years, you know, I've had friends come cheer me on, but there's 5 people that have been there every single year that show up no matter what. I think when I'm competing, I'm an individual athlete, I'm out on that floor by myself, but I'm surrounded by my loved ones. And that's the only way I want it to be. Amongst all this high pressure, amongst all this serious business, like they make me laugh and they make me enjoy every single moment of it, because I tell you what, it's fucking hard, but they keep me grounded. And it's the people that build up my team that help me throughout the weekend, throughout the lead up to the CrossFit Games, that I know I can rely on, because regardless of the result, they're always going to be there. Now that I'm a parent, you know, a competition is honestly so small compared to what's really important in life. It just opened up a whole new lens for me to look through. And don't get me wrong, like I still get super nervous. I still, you know, get that pressure and that vibe of like, do I still got it? And, you know, have I done enough? And, you know, how badly do I really want it? And, you know, asking yourself all these questions. Well, when I was on the start line and I look up and I see my little girl acknowledging like that I'm out on the floor and that she can see mum, like that was wild. For her to be like cheering me on and be like, go mum, and you know, just so excited to see me out on the floor. And it's a pinch me moment where I have to, like, am I dreaming? Like I have to like try and wake myself up and be like, is this real? Because it's just so incredible.
Who's in charge here?
Willow, this way.
I ask myself what's next all the time. And I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you what the future holds, but like I have no idea. Like a part of me wants to expand our family and have, you know, more children. Then like there's a part of me that just, I don't think I'll ever be ready to hang up the boots, because I really do love competing and just pushing myself. And it's, you know, I keep training and doing this thing called CrossFit because I can, and I just keep seeing improvement. But I'm so excited to like take Willow to the beach and not have this lingering thought, oh, I've got to get back into the gym. If Willow just wants to paint all day, we just paint all day. Or if she just wants to have sandwiches and, you know, play in the pool, well, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And we don't need to be anywhere. If mum and dad are working the cattle and, you know, they need help mustering, like I'm free to do that, you know. I'm really looking forward to just being free and able to just live life with my family and, you know, enjoy the small things in life that we kind of look past when life is so busy and hectic.
Look at the beach. Look at the beach. You want to run to the beach? And go, 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 go.
Home is where the heart is. When I was a little girl, home was the farm. It was a place, and I remember when we very first left my home and my dad got a new job and we moved up to Weipa, I was leaving my home, and that was the farm. But one thing that's taken me all these years and experiences to realize is that every moment and every chapter of our lives and every stage or new place that we've gone, I've learned to realize that home is really where the people are, and, you know, the love that you have for your friends and your family that surround you. And you know, I've been very fortunate to have Shane along for the ride, and we have been able to create a home everywhere we've gone. And it's because of the people that we've been able to meet and surround ourselves with. And it's just, it's comforting, because I can let go of the fact that my home is really where Shane is, and now Willow. And everywhere I go around the world, we have the right people in our corner, and we have the love and the support. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world, what we're doing, like there's a sense of that safe feeling and that trust when you have them by your side and they're on these journeys and we're making memories together. And you realize over time that home doesn't need to be one particular place. As long as you have the right people with you, that's really where the home is.